Hello, hello. Happy Monday, November 3rd, 2025. How is everyone? Looks like YouTube is fired up here. We got Juicy, DRZ, Russell, Fruit Jelly. Hello. Wonder how many death sets he got. Hans, thank you. Welcome back. Thank you. That is a very, very terrible question. Olive Octopus Inc. Good afternoon. How are you? Um, Let me grab my other glasses here. Not enough is the answer. I am already kind of in trouble. So I just want you to know. Um, I am sort of in trouble. Do you have some pen show halls of shows? Absolutely. That might be the majority of the first half of all this. It has been a ridiculously busy morning. Um, because I was gone and I had the car. Anybody who placed an order after Friday about noon, your order went out this morning. So everybody's order from Saturday and from the weekend went out this morning, but we did not ship on Saturday like we normally do. Um, so I do have a new light above me. So if you see this bright light shining down on my dome here, it is not me being called up. It is the lights have all been fixed in this space, so we are pretty stoked about that, and it actually illuminates my desk quite nicely, so you can see all the trouble that I've gotten into. Um, Someone bought too much of the pen show. It's a combination of things. It really is. Um, let's see. The death set gods are finally taking me home. Yes. Um, what is the total from the weekend? Because I bought things at two different places. Um, there's the pen show, and then there's going to be more stuff that I bought that's going to be arriving. If we're lucky, the end of the week. Otherwise, next week we'll get it. Um, well, we'll get into that in a minute. So I left Thursday morning. I got up at 4 a.m. Against my better judgment, and we left the house at 4:50. Now I had to drop Lisa off at work, which is about 10 to 15 minutes the wrong direction the way I needed to be. So, by the time I hit the highway, it was probably closer to 5:30. Um, I actually remembered everything that I was intending to take except for one thing, and I was hoping to I was hoping to take a nib to get exchanged, and I forgot that nib, so no big deal. And I just realized I forgot one thing that I bought at the show. I left it at home, so I'll bring it tomorrow. And I know somebody had inquired about it and sent me an email, but we'll get into that in a minute. So I left at 5. I had one stop along the way that I had to make down in Chicago, and I rolled into Columbus at like 3:30 local. So it took me, what is that? Um, 7, 8, 9.5 hours to get there. Um, it was fine, really fine, actually. Most of the way, in the last 2 hours, it was pouring rain coming into Columbus, which was quite miserable. Uh, but it was all right, you know. Um, but I mean, people were not slowing down, and it was like visibility was awful, and you felt like you had to keep up with the car in front of you just so you could see where the hell you were going. So, um, but anyway, we get to the show. It's the 30th anniversary of the Ohio Pen Show, and there was a few tables set up. I actually didn't, and for once, I remembered my trusty pocket notebook, and I wrote down everything that I bought, everything that I paid for. I wrote down. Um, and I actually only bought 2 pens on the first day. That's not true. That's not true at all. I changed my pen apparently midway because I ran out. That's what it was. I thought I changed pen the second day, but anyway. Um, yeah, it was a good show. I left Saturday morning. By 10 o'clock, I was on the road. The show opens up around 8. Um, Thursday was not really busy. Fewer people than normal, I thought, set up in the showroom at the hotel. So there was, it was nice for casual conversation, getting caught up with your friends. And then the auction was Thursday night, and it was like maybe the largest collection of Skylines I've ever seen, but every one of them had a problem. Every single one had a problem. Lots of pens had problems in the auction, and a lot of them were going for way above dealer pricing. You just couldn't make any money selling them. I mean, they were really good deals for collectors. If you didn't mind a little bit of an issue here or there, and that's typically been the Thursday auction. Depends, they're okay pens or pens with problems. They're not pristine. Terry made it through to about lot 50. And well, so first of all, apparently the room that we were supposed to be in for the auction was commandeered by some other group or for some other reason. So they had us in this tent, this heated tent out the back of the hotel, kind of behind where the ballroom was. And actually, as far, I mean, it sounds worse than it was. It was quite spacious. It was actually warmer than the hallway was where some of the vendors were over the weekend. I mean, it was freezing in that hallway. It was actually nice and warm in this heated tent, but it looked like one of these things where you'd have a wedding or something. They had rolled down windows and everything. I mean, it was, but they didn't have the PA system really worked out in advance, which was kind of disappointing. So everybody moved up to like the first 3 rows because you couldn't hear Terry. Terry's voice is degrading, and he's very quiet. He's very hard to hear. It actually looked nicer than your many hotel ballrooms from the photos you saw. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't bad. It sounds worse than it was, but it was not. It was in no way, shape, or form ideal. You could not hear Terry. I was in the first. Happy Monday, Gabriel. I was in the first row, and I usually like this. I usually like to sit in the second row from the front on the aisle, which gives me some room to, if then they'll walk the pens down the aisle, just as kind of a reminder of what it is. But if you really need to look at it, you can look at it real quick. So I like to be on that aisle, and usually the second row in. So I'm really right in front of the podium. And I couldn't hear Terry. I just couldn't hear him, and he made it. And they couldn't get the PA system to work. It was it had some reverb on it, and they decided, you know what, we're just not going to use it. So everybody got cozy and moved up. I moved up to the front row. It was okay to hear him, but you had to concentrate. You couldn't be talking to your neighbor. You couldn't be listening to what was going on behind you. And after 50 lots, Terry threw in the towel and he passed the baton the gavel onto Ben. And Ben did a great job. He got obviously a much stronger voice, and he could see what was going on in the room and who was bidding, and so I think it went really well. It was very interesting to see that baton passed for the first time ever. Kind of a sad moment, but it was there it was, And he did a good job. And by the time we got to lot 84, I had not won a single thing despite having bid on I don't know how many lots. And as I've mentioned before, I am generally really pretty cheap. I don't buy anything I can't make really solid margin on when you when you have to factor in the possibility that some of this stuff can break when you repair it, or there may be some hidden problem. And there's no way you can possibly, there was 101, I think, lots. There's no way you can possibly examine 101 lots. You just can't do it. And by lot 84, I was exhausted. I couldn't handle it anymore. All I could think of was getting up and going to sleep. And that's what I did. It's the first time I've ever bailed in the middle of an auction. I couldn't do it. I wasn't winning anything. I hadn't won anything. And my concern was at this point was I was going to win something in the last 16 lots of the auction. And then I would have to spend another hour waiting to get in line. I was number 21, so it wasn't too bad, but I'd have to wait. There were 20 people in front of me that I'd have to wait for them to check out. And I realized when I got there, I had forgotten to bring my money. Now, they know me, so they would have been just fine with me, catching up later, or I would have just run up and gotten the money. But I said, you know what? After 84 lots, I'm done. There's nothing left in the last 16 that I have to have. And if I haven't won anything thus far, I know where everybody else is bidding. I'm out. I went to bed. Friday was a busy day. Of course, the room was full. All the vendors were there on Friday. It was like less than half full on Thursday. And I won't say the deals were out, but the pens were there. And that's what I like, is I like the Friday. They had 2 side rooms that they have off in a different hallway. And per usual, I went down that hallway once, kind of looked in, went in the other room, and completely forgot about it the rest of the day. I feel bad for those people that are in those rooms, because you can spend all day walking around the bigger ballroom. And it's not a huge ballroom, but you can spend all day walking around there, talking to people, going back, and completely forget about the other 2 rooms. Now, in the past, there had been a particular vendor that had been in those rooms, and I had bought quite a number of pens from them. But I did not see them in their usual location when I went. So I guess I don't feel too bad. I didn't miss out on anything. But I was a little perplexed that they weren't there, because I know they're a local Columbus shop. They actually have a shop. And they have like all of the things that I like. They do. They sell vintage bicycles, they sell watches, and they sell pens. And mostly Japanese pens. It's the weirdest conglomeration of things ever, but it's everything that I love all in one place. Like, it would be dangerous if I went into their shop, but they weren't there. So, which I didn't understand, because they're literally in Columbus, but I forgot about it. So yeah, Friday was busy all day buying. Good afternoon, Vlad. How are you? Did you win anything in the auction on Saturday night? Lot of trading. There was pizza party Saturday night. It was less than spectacular. The food at the bar, less than spectacular on Thursday night as well. And every year I kept vowing I'm not gonna eat at this bar anymore, because every year it's a disaster. It's a total disaster. It wasn't so bad Thursday, the food came out in a reasonably prompt manner, but like the fries were overcooked. The burger was like soggy in its juices. I mean, it was just, for $20, for a burger, I think I'd just as well get in the car and go somewhere. But that's where they have you, right? Because I was too tired. I'd been up all day. I wasn't going to get in the car and go find someplace in Columbus. I'm not doing it next year. If it's at the same hotel, I'm not doing it. The hotel, by the way, was a total disaster. It's the first time I've ever stayed there. But I had counted, you got a Sonic Inn and a Bohem Large. Cool. I had heard at least 6, if not more. If not more, instances of people going up to the room. And it happened to me. You got the only Sonic Inn Osmond didn't buy? Nice. I'm sure he bought a bunch. I got my stuff and I checked in right away. And I had to drop off some stuff to somebody who had like 4 boxes of stuff to drop off to somebody. And I came in, I touched base with them, said, listen, let's go out and take care of this deal. Let's finalize it right away. Get it done. Took the stuff out, realized they weren't going to be able to fit all of it. So I ended up taking 3/4 of all the stuff that I dragged to Ohio back to Wisconsin so I could ship it. It's fine. No big deal. But then I decided, well, I'm going to go up to the room right away before I do anything else. Got my keys. I've got my clothes bag. I've got my briefcase. I've got, a cooler and an extra bag and all this stuff. Your hands are full, right? 4th floor. The elevator is all the way down the hall. I mean, it's a hike. Holy moly. It's a hike down the hall. Okay, great. Get to the elevator. Hit the 4. Get up to the 4th floor. The room, all the way down the hallway. All the way down. Like it's almost the last, I think it might have been the second to last room on the left. I get there, put my key in. I got my steps in. Yeah. What I forgot to do is I was going to turn my Strava on Friday to see how many miles I walked around the ballroom, and I forgot to do it. Yeah. So I get to the room. I put the key in, and I get red on the. It's not one of the tap ones. It's the older style where you put the key in and pull it out, right? So I get a red. I'm like, okay, well that's not good. Put it back in. I did it like 3, 4, 5 times. All I got was red. Okay, well I'll try the other one. I'm thinking, well, I had it in my pocket, but I didn't put it like right next to any of my other credit cards or my phone or anything. So I'm like, well, I'll try the other one. Put that one in, red. Won't open. Tried each of them 4 or 5 times, did it again. So crap, so I end up having to walk all the way down the hall to the elevator, wait for the elevator, go down, walk all the way down the hall to the front desk and say, my key's not working. Can you check that for me? Get me a different key or whatever. And instead of just giving me a different key, what they did is they gave me a different room. They wrote the room number down and said, well, here, let's get you a new room. Well, this apparently, and then that did work. It was much closer to the elevator, but I got a sweater on, I got a jacket on. I'm like overheating now. And apparently it happened to a large number of people where they couldn't get into the room and they just gave another room. Now, I don't know what they had done if the hotel had been like at capacity, because somebody actually they got up to their room. They couldn't get in. Housekeeping happened to be there, so they used their master key to open the door, put his stuff in the room, and he went down to go see if they could get him new keys. Well, apparently they wanted to switch him to a different room. And they even went up to the room with their keys and they couldn't get in. So now he's got his stuff locked into a room he can't get access to. A lot of keys demagnetized after they work for a while. Yeah. So I should have bought my bike. Yeah. So he had all his stuff stuck in this room. They had to call maintenance, and I think maintenance finally got it out for him. And then another friend of mine, he had done the room shuffle, and then in his good room, or his second room, he came in there later in the day and the ceiling was leaking. He had like literally a puddle. I mean, the whole floor was sopping wet. And so he got a third room. And actually one of the rooms didn't have a fridge because he went to go put his dinner in or something like that, and it was just a disaster. And I had heard at least 6 stories, if not more, of people who went, used their card, they couldn't get in the room, and they just gave them a new room. So there's all these rooms at this hotel that they can't get into, apparently. um so yeah, that was fun. So Friday was pizza party. It was very lackluster. In fact, I was supposed to start at 6:30, and so I went down to the bar. Was going to have a beverage first, and of course, they're out of all the good beers on the menu. They're out of the good beers on tap. They're out of the good bottled beers. And Thursday night, they actually had a beer that I like, Bell's Two Hearted Ale, which I drink from time to time, and it's a nice full bodied beer, and I like it. But they were out, of course, by Friday night. Like, fine, whatever you got. I mean, they got Stella, and I'm not a big Stella fan, but that was about the best thing that they had. It was either that or like Bud Light, and I wasn't going to drink that. A few years ago, the hotel couldn't supply a refrigerator to your diabetic friend. Oh my God. They ran out of beer. They seriously, there was like, it was either 4 or 5 different beers that I would have had. I mean, I'm not terribly picky. I'm not going to have a domestic beer and pay, $8 for a Bud Light. I'm just not going to do it. I'll go down to the liquor store and I'll buy a 6-pack and sit in my room and be a recluse before I do that. And so they had Bell's on Thursday night. Friday night, they're completely out. So the only option really was Stella on tap. And I really don't like Stella, but it was the best option. The bar was rocking. And we're like 6:30, we're going to go in and get some pizza. Well, as it turned out, they started the pizza party early. They didn't deliver in. They made it at the hotel. And when we got in there was literally like 4 pieces of cheese pizza left. And I was like, you've got to be effing kidding me. They did bring stuff back, but then there's a line, and it was literally gone in a matter of 2 minutes. Because like I got up saying, I'd like to have some protein here, a sausage or a pepperoni or something. I literally stood up and I looked, and there were 2 pieces of cheese pizza left. So I waited a little bit more, and then they came out with the 3rd round. I did manage to get a piece there, but yeah, so that was really kind of oddly planned. Normally they would bring it in. In years past when it was at the Crown. You're really good at picking a beer off the beer list that was just kicked. I've done it several times now. It was just, yeah, it was like a third of it was cheese. They had pepperoni, and then they had this weird, supposedly it was sausage, but it was cut like pepperoni. It wasn't your typical, it looked like big pepperoni is what it looked like. Was not that great. So I like, fine, whatever. I went up to the room. I should have, I don't know. I was going with, hey, it's provided. It's not going to cost me anything. I'm going to reduce my expenses. And that's what I was going with. I mean, there were big pieces. So, by the time I was done, I had, I wish you'd have been there to save me from that nightmare. Yeah. No kidding. But by the time I had 4 pieces of pizza, I was like, fine, okay, whatever. That's it. I sat down at the bar. The first time in, I can't tell you how many years. probably 30 years, I closed a bar. I don't know what happened. But we just sat there. I never got up out of my chair. Stayed there. I had a binder of pens I brought down just for show and tell. And we were supposed to do this vintage pen thing for modern collectors, sort of like seminar we did in St. Louis. And I don't know that it actually happened. So I just sat there and I drank beer all night. Stella, of course, because that's all they had, and accidentally a non-alcoholic beer, which was kind of awful tasting anyway. But yeah, at 2:00, the bartender, and they had one bartender, and the bar was hopping, and it wasn't just us; it was some other people. And of course, it's Halloween, so you've got people coming in and going out, and going to bars and parties. It was mostly Penn people, but we occupied pretty much the whole bar, and there was one bartender, and you would ask for a drink, and you would maybe get it 15, 20 minutes later, and then he would forget that he needed to get you a beer, so he would go and walk over, but then he would get interrupted 7 times, and then he would forget, and you have to ask him again. So at the end, I finally just said, just give me 2, because DC bars close at 11. That's nuts. Yeah, they were open late. So, I said, just give me 2, because by the time I drink one, I'm going to have another, and I don't want to wait because it's going to take forever. He dropped a bottle of booze on the floor and didn't even clean it up. He just kept running into it because you could hear the broken glass shattering as he scuffled his feet. I mean, it was insane. I felt bad for the guy. Like, the whole place was understaffed. The breakfast was, got breakfast Friday morning at 6:45. It was stone cold at 6:45 in the morning on Friday. Saturday was a little bit warmer. We hit it right when they opened at 7. But I don't know what they did. I think they made tea instead of coffee because the coffee tasted like tea. And everybody I talked to said, "Did you taste that coffee?" So yeah, it tastes like tea. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. And they didn't even have anybody to check you in. In fact, most of us were almost done with their breakfast before some guy came around and asked you what your room number was. It was insane. But yeah, we closed up. Yeah, classic sign of a hotel in process of being sold. Yeah, yeah. We closed up at 2, and the bartender left, and we were still at the bar. And there was like 3 of us, and we kind of looked around, and my buddy Ray said, "Well, let's help him out." Figuring there's going to be someone coming in to clean up the bar, but there was, because there's like a couple of different areas away from the bar proper, some tables, and the 3 of us just went and we cleaned up all the tables. We took all the bottles, all the cans, all the garbage, pushed in all the chairs. We didn't want to leave a super mess, and we put it all up in the bar. When I came down in the morning, and I came down at 6:30, 6:45, all that crap was still on the bar, including like a couple unopened cans of beer. There was glasses of wine. I mean, it was all there. Nobody's, like, 2 o'clock came, that dude was done. Nobody cleaned up. Nobody. I don't know. Super weird. Anyway, I had 3 hours of sleep. I was not in my best shape. I sat down with Ron Zorn for like an hour. He started talking to me about stuff, and he looked at me at one point and goes, "Did you get that?" And I'm like, "No, man." Yeah, it's time to stay at a different hotel. Yeah, they waved coffee in front of hot water. I don't know. It really tasted like tea. I don't know how you can get coffee to taste like tea. I mean, I can't imagine they just dumped tea bags in there, but I mean, I don't know. It was awful. It was terrible. And I missed the coffee that they had in the ballroom area because I was waiting for Ron to get to his table because I was first on his list to have him look at some stuff with me. So I didn't get coffee at all on Saturday. Got my stuff. I was done by 10. I got out, got home. Drove pretty much straight through, about 8.5 hours. And here we are. Yeah, it's a terrible, it's a kind of a, I mean, it's not too bad. It's just, I mean, the bed was incredibly comfortable. Pillows were comfortable. Every shower at every hotel is weird, right? I mean, but anyway, should we take a look at some of the stuff I bought instead of me yammering on about how awful the hotel was? All right. I'm still a little tired because I slept most of yesterday. All right. Well, this new light I have above is really, really, well, of course, this is in plastic. Yeah, finding a hotel with a convention space that is not downtown with the expensive parking is hard. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm willing to accept a little bit of something, but you can't have one bartender on a Friday night. You when you've got a convention there. That's a great pack. Yeah, yours is coming soon, buddy. I could have had about 30 more of these. One is enough. Schaefer desk trumpets. There's even a little stock number on the back. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. This here is the thing I did. I couldn't live without. I kept dreaming about this. Yeah, it's leaving money on the table. Absolutely. I probably would have had twice as much as I drank, which would have been a terrible idea. Let me tell you, don't recommend it. But this, there was actually 2 of these at the show, and the one that I wanted actually had the socket in a pen. And by the time I got done with Ron Zorn in the morning, it had sold. It was gone. So I was sad, but then I found this one, which actually is in better condition. And I should have looks like I've got a trumpet come in and we'll be able to fix this up. But it's a big, chunky, look how big that is. Glass space. And I just love this 2 fishermen here and this kind of almost oriental looking tree. And it's a nice Schaefer base and a little pen rest here. So that was one of my personal purchases for the show. Let me get that out of the way here. I exercised extreme restraint in that for a very short period of time, I was considering buying 4 desk sets because I couldn't make a decision which one I wanted. And I would have kept them all, probably. In the end, I ended up not doing it because I couldn't. And then other things happened, and this is the coolest box ever. Schaefer Prelude. That's a ballpoint. Every time you saw me on the floor, I was shopping desk sets. Yeah. Yeah, so I got a total. So yeah, so I bought at the show and then I was buying somewhere else, not at the show at the same time. So I was kind of dipping into my show budget to exercise this other option. And that apparently was 7 desk sets coming on top of the 5 that I got. So yeah, I mean, even dozen. But a nice green marble, subtle green marble Prelude with cool box, ballpoint. The price was right. I mean, I couldn't pass it up. This is pretty sweet on the other end of the spectrum. Maybe Todd and Company Signet Stylo. Look at this box. Box made in England. It's got a little bit of damage there. Maybe Todd and Company, New York and London. But when I saw this, we got paperwork, directions. I mean, I haven't even looked at this. It's awesome. All of this. The whole wall of text on this thing. This has never been inked. Yeah, it is super neat. It is never been inked. I mean, it's got this cool knurling on the end here. Cool knurling there. I mean, this chasing on here. Look at this. New York and London, it says on it. I mean, it would have been a crime to leave this. and it's got the little spring on it. So yeah. What does it say on the end? You got a patent date on the end here. Restraint, no need for for a one-way U-Haul. Yeah, I mean, I hate it when there's so many really super cool things and they're within your grasp. Patent number 3230-12. But you know, you have to. I think in the end, saving some of my money for this other deal that came through was really the better choice. Um, maybe I didn't buy. Maybe I didn't buy the. You know, if you took the 4 desk sets that I was interested in, maybe I didn't buy the most desirable of the 4. Maybe that it wasn't the right purchase, but it was the right purchase for me because I think that one is beautiful. It's got such a cool Oriental vibe to it. At least the tree is. I'm sure it's not intended to be that way. I don't know what it was called, but so anyway, maybe Todd Stylo in the box. I mean, how cool is that? Okay, here's the rest of the desk sets. 8 balls, DB116s, green, brown, and then I really didn't want to buy the blacks. I didn't want to buy this one because it's chipped. But it was a package deal after I bought the first one, and then it basically was free. So, who knows? I might be able to use this ring on something else. So 4 more 8 balls. I need to buy additional shelving to store them. Yeah, we'll see. I need to sell them is what I need to do. I did sell one Esterbrook desk set while I was gone at the show. So that was good. All right. All right. What else we got? Nope. Special. These are pens for repair. I'm missing a. I did manage to get a pretty cool shaper tray, and it's got this plastic liner like my other one does, but it's a little bit different. An old converter, but it's kind of a nice little tray. 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, so we could fit like a whole bunch of repairs in there. So that came with a lot of pens that I bought, which we'll get into in a minute. Picked these up. Nice little Schaefer cartridge pens. They're all new old stock, mint, never inked, stickers, chalk marks. This one's got a broad nib on it, which is, I saw it, it's just really ridiculous. So, broad nib, we've got some in here. I mean, some great colors. These greens, this kind of powder blue. Someone was chatting live from the show Friday evening on the Ink Dependence live stream chat. You know, I thought about doing it. I was just too busy. I just couldn't do it. These all have this little inlay, and they're all. Oh, Saturday. Okay. Yeah, I mean it was busy Saturday. It was very busy on Saturday. Chalk marks. It's really barely visible. But just kind of some fun little inexpensive. Yeah, when I came down for breakfast, you were the guy in the Ink Dependence stream, Vlad. Nice. When I came down for breakfast at 6 6:45, 6:30, Saturday morning, I saw people coming back from Halloween parties. And I know that because I saw them leave the night before. I recognized them. Yeah, they were either that or they're wearing their Halloween costume that early in the morning. But super cool little pens. It was funny because when I came up to the table and I saw these, this tray actually was full, and another guy saw them the same time that I did, and he started pulling them out. And so this little competition ensued where he was grabbing 1, 2, 3, and I started going, okay, yep. I started piling them up, and he knew what was going on. So he bought 4, and then I took the rest. So they're kind of cute. Cute little Schaefers. All right. All right, next up are a bunch of pens that I got mostly in lots. I bought a lot of pens from a friend, which included that tray. Someone dressed as a headless horseman on a real horse. So a lot of these are going to be just kind of thrown back into the bin. I don't think I'm going to use them. There's a Waterman with a 100-year with a dilapidated end. We got a cool diamond point. But these aren't really not terribly expensive pens. I mean, I really haven't even looked at half of these. A Wherever. This is a Kohinoor. This is actually an interesting, a fairly decent. I mean, it needs some serious cleaning, but Conklin. This is a 2P, 30P, 30P. I might need the nib for that. A bunch of weird stuff. This actually is very interesting. It needs a nib reset or something because it's really. And it's a piston. Yeah, I think it's a piston of some sort. Graphomatic. So interesting, not worth much. What is this? Eagle. This one's kind of fun, but again, not worth much. Ambassador. It's got a little Eversharp nib in there. Yeah, okay, that ain't right. That's ugly. Got an Osmeroid, white Osmeroid. Some pencils. This is a Webster pencil. Kind of looks like a Schaefer. Oh, it works. Yeah, this is some cheap 3rd tier, whatever. These kind of show up. What model were those Schaefers? That was my first fountain pen for my mom. I really don't know. Brian does collect Wherevers. No, not really. Not really. Globus, ballpoints. This was a pencil we were looking at the other day. I got it. It's sort of fixed now. This one I couldn't pass up. I think you can see the barrel transparency on it. But I got to say, this new light above me is almost annoying. Double stickers on it. But this transparency is just off the charts. 46, fourth quarter. Really very clean. I couldn't stop. I could not stop looking at it. When I saw it, and I probably stared at it for 15 minutes. I just finally, I'm like, I gotta buy it. This was also in the same junk box as the Maybe Todd Stylo, a 51 vac desk pen. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was like, for sure it was not easy to find. Correct. Yeah. And I could not believe I found it for what I found it for. I mean, in fact, I was so quick to buy it that it never occurred to me. Like, I was wondering, like, well, maybe I bought something that wasn't a Parker, but it was open like this in a bag. They took the taper off to fit it into a smaller bag. So, of course, it's a 51. But yeah. So, 51 desk pen. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I'll buy them all day long at that price. All day long. Nothing else in here. All right. Now the good stuff. We're going to do it backwards because and again, some of this is still from, I bought about 3 trays worth of stuff from one particular person, primarily to get 1 or 2 pens. And the rest of it was kind of junk. You know, this is actually a Wasp at a point. So I guess maybe there's some value in it. But it's got steel nib. If you're a Wasp collector or a Schaefer collector. Duofolds Senior. Terrible cracked cap. Is that hard rubber? Looks like hard rubber. Hard rubber cap. That's kind of nice. Good nib, though. Really good nib. Some good parts here. $51. Special. Nice teal. 51 Mark II. Beautiful gold-filled cap. Kind of a medium-ish nib, so that's kind of cool. But it was sold to me as new old stock. I don't know if that's the case, but we'll find out. I see a little ink on there. You may be interested in the Wasp. You have a display case for it? Okay. It's yours if you want it. You want me to fix it for you? This one I kind of had a chuckle over. Now, I am always open to learning new things, but I am pretty sure I was right in this one. So this was sitting on a table. And you see what it is. It's a 51. This is a wrong, it's 51 flight, but this is a wrong cap. And I was told by the dealer, he said, well, you know, sometimes they came this way. I was like, well, no, they had the gold band on it. Says, well, no, yeah, they did, but they also came that way. I don't buy that for a minute, but the price was right, and I have the correct cap for this somewhere. So that was the end of the conversation. The price was right. It's really mucked up. You'd probably leave the Wasp as it sits. You could talk about it. You really should avoid starting a new collection. I'm tempted to keep this one for myself just because I've always wanted a flighter. I've had a couple. I've never kept them very long. What is this? A Parco, I think? Yeah, a Parco. Lever filler. One of the only few lever fillers Parker ever made. Kind of a chintzy gold nib. But nice material. I like this little Double cap band action on the top. It looks nice. Some 45s. I always like 45s. Half of these have gold nibs. Um, Weird story about how I got those, but that's another matter. A flighter. So this is a Mark II flighter because it doesn't have, or Mark III or third generation or whatever you call it. Doesn't have the black end, which always breaks off anyway. So this is really the best version of the flighter. What do we got? A gold broad nib on this. I mean, how ridiculous is this? Awesome. Hello, yeah, this is the Ohio stuff. Yep, yep. So that's a really nice. I like this 45. Really, really quite nice. This came in a lot. Striped Duofold. Those 45 broad nibs are nice to use. Yeah, yeah, they are. I really need one in my life, but this does not seem to work. All right, moving right along. Custom Grandee Pilot. Yeah, it's a great first vintage. Yeah, I recommend it to someone today. It doesn't have a fountain pen. He wants to get a fountain pen. He wants vintage. What should you get? 45. Nice used Grandee. This will polish up nicely. I always like this cap. Snap cap. It's a big pen. Yeah, they write like a $500 pen. Yeah. And then I got a couple first year 1963 Sailor pocket pens. This one's a really charming blue. Pretty decent. I mean, it's got a little bit of roughness against the edge of the clip and some dirt here, but gold plated nib, but really a pretty nice package on this one. So Sailor pocket. Sailor's the first company to come out with a pocket pen in 63, I think it was. This one actually looks like is another Sailor pocket pen. Almost looks like rose gold trim here. We've got this cool little band. Oops, sorry. Cool little trim band there. Black section. Gold nib. Nice little pen. You have a Sailor pocket pen from, you believe, the 70s and you love it? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, good little pens. For the life of me, I don't remember when I got this. That's kind of how my shows go. Like, I don't know when this one snuck in. I think this was maybe in the lot of pens that I bought. Maybe not. I don't know. It looks like it's got maybe a stub nib on it. I honestly don't remember. I should have taken pictures. I had pens in the trays. I should have taken pictures of the pens in the trays before but nice color. Green, striped cap. They're insidious like that. I bet it will open easy. Yeah, that was the thing. I would like the last time in St. Louis, I wanted to buy. I was a little low on Skylines, and I wanted some Skylines for some interesting stock, and I bought a bunch, and like one broke, and a couple didn't open. I mean, it was just awful, just awful. Nice more. So that was the only Skyline I bought. And there were a ton of them in the auction. I mean, I could have come home with all sorts, including full moire, striped Skylines, barrel and cap. I mean, this is a lovely, this needs a little work. It needs the nib reset, but a lovely more with a stub nib, factory stub. See if we can zoom in on this. I see that stubbishness going on there. Nice chasing. A little bit of softness to it. But really a good looking pen. All right. Hour in and we're not done yet. This is an interesting pen. It has a cool, I don't know who made it. It looks, almost looks Italian. The barrel says top 3 open mess, Clark Air Force Base, Philippines, 1958 to 1959. And it's a 51 clone, but it has a rectangular, yeah, it's got some history, doesn't it? It's got a faceted hood to it. You can kind of see the facets on there. And it's aerometric fill, squeeze film. In the dictionary, stubbishness. Look under Brian Anderson. Yeah, yeah. So, Platinum made a 51 copy with the faceted hood. Oh, maybe this is it. I mean, I don't see any. It's got a pearlized jewel on it. I mean, there's no markings on it anywhere. Yeah, I would expect. I have a Platinum 51 copy, actually with the sterling cap of all things. But it's got more of a military clip cap, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a lever fill, so I guess it's not really much of a 51 clone. This was kind of a surprise find. There's the sticker. You can kind of see. This is an Esterbrook Double X. This is the only Esterbrook I bought at the show. I just have so many. I shouldn't be buying any until I get rid of what I got. But this is the Double X dipless, so it's larger barrel, shorter taper than the standard dipless, but uses the taper for the Model W desk pen. Really, every one of these, great show of restraint, yeah. Every one of these I find I buy. Every single one. I will not let one go away. They are very uncommon. If you find a Double X, you should buy it at any cost. Just about. All right. Next 3 are potential keepers. The next one is the reason I bought 3 trays worth of pens. And we're going to zoom in on this because this is really. Look at this engraving. This is hand engraved. We've got HCL. Conklin Crescent filler. I'm curious. I don't think they ever did this, but I'm curious if the crescent has engraving on it or not, or what the imprint on the crescent is, but it won't drop out. So we've got to take it open. We can open it up to see that. Just a stunning. I mean, you've got little pansies or something there. It is so nice. I don't collect overlays like I used to. I mean, those days are a lot of days are behind me. But when I saw this and you know, I had to buy 3 trays worth of stuff to get it. You do that. And then here's the other thing that really, for me, makes it interesting. And if you collect overlays, you know, there's different things, at least for me, that increase the interest. You know, overlays, of course, full overlays. This is gold fill. It's not solid. You know, if you have a nib with an overfeed, bonus points, anywhere that it's marked. This one particularly, slip cap, not threaded. The slip cap Conklin Crescent. Now it does have a rather mostly, but probably fixable Grishaber number 2 nib. So of all the possible incorrect nibs for it to have, that's not a bad one. Because I love Grishaber too. So, you know, if you find a Grishaber that you need a nib for, boom, here it is. Well, the other Conklin that I showed you just a little bit ago, that number 3 nib might actually fit on this pen. I don't know. We'll see. But really interesting feed. Not much to it. Really kind of sexy. Only a cone cap overlay would make it more interesting. Yeah. And that doesn't mean it detracts from, what this is. But it will be fun to open this up and see which version imprint we have on the Crescent. It'll be terrifying to open this up for sure. But that's a keeper. And then we got a couple of very dirty early Schaeffers. This one with the Schaeffer clip. This one's a little dirty. It's got a number 2 self-filling nib on it. The imprint is very heavily worn. You can't really read it, but it's the double large S on this guy. And number 2 on the butt end. So nice early. I mean, not nice, but it's it does have a hairline crack in the cap, which I didn't notice until after I bought it, because the lighting in the room was terrible. Really awful. But to balance my problem with that one was this early Schaeffer. And look at that beautiful imprint. Really so nice. So nice. It doesn't have the Schaeffer clip, but it's got Schaeffers on the clip. This has got a 325 nib, which is incorrect. And it's got number 2, also number 2 on the butt end. But this chasing is just delicious. And somebody polished it within an inch of their life, apparently, because that's, I think, what this gook is in here. But is that a crack in the cap? I'll be really upset if both of these pens have cracks in them. Looks like it does. It has a crack, but somebody tried to fix it. They actually did a pretty decent job. Well, shucks. Well, placeholder, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it was really, it was the first thing I saw when I came in on Thursday was with those 2 pens. All right. We're almost done. Then maybe we'll repair some pens. You think it's the wrong cap? Hit me when I'm down, brother. Now that you've seen the whole thing. Oh, shit. All right, what do we got here? These we're going to flip through pretty quickly. Oversized flat top. Loose cap band, but otherwise pretty clean. You think the early imprint needs to have a Schaeffer clip cap? Not trying to pile on, it could easily be wrong. Well, see, this is how I look at it, okay? And this is a good lesson for everybody, right? I've been doing this for, what year is it? 2025. I've been doing this for 27 years. I still make mistakes, but here's what I guarantee I won't do the next time I see an early Schaeffer is I will have researched what should and shouldn't be for at least that little subsection of pens. And so I'm going to learn from it. And did I pay more than I should have? Yeah, kind of. But I can tell you there weren't that many of this type of pen at the show. Not many at all. Another oversize. Flat top in black. Nice looking. Big white dot. This jade one. Unfortunately, somebody had to do that. And it looks too uneven to be anything from the factory. The black one, this one here. Or you want to see the self filler. Okay. I mean, it's got to be the wrong nib. Wouldn't be a 325 nib in this. That's way too new. Barrel threads. The section actually doesn't look right either now that I look at it. I tell you, I got a really nice barrel. I think that's what I bought. I bought a really nice barrel. Let's take a look at this one now. Yeah, see, this one looks... That other section seems a little bit too small. This one comes up kind of nice. Same feed. There are too many variations. Well, it is what it is, right? Oversized jade. Unfortunately, we got that big monstrosity and a big crack in the cap. So this came in a lot. Yeah, take your time, whatever. The next one, I probably had more people try to buy this off of me in the last, I don't know how long, kind of a regular size flat top. But this nib is to die for. Big stub. You would buy it. Yeah, you are one of many. Stub, yeah, factory stub. I couldn't believe it when I pulled the cap off to look at it. I channeled my inner Hans and said, I grabbed onto it and I'm like, okay. Because I was at a table and I bought so many pens at this table. I think I bought 14 pens at this table that the deal was if I bought like X number, I would get 20% off. But I had to buy that many, you know. This is a lovely, this was also in the lot, so I didn't pay the sticker price, but nice jade green Lady Schaefer. Crisp imprint on it, really nice coloring. And then a slew of oversized balances. Price the stub nice and high. Yeah. It's going to get one of those prices that if I can't keep it, someone's going to pay. Another oversized two-tone nib. This one looks nice. I mean, these are all dirty. And actually, I had somebody at the bar Friday night want to buy it off of me. And I said, you know, I kind of want to restore it and write with it at least once. And he says, well, you can come and write with it at every show that you see me at. I don't think so. I'm not ready to get rid of it. Other or earlier hump clip. I just love oversized balances. This one actually was pretty nice. It does have somebody's name on it, but the color is really pretty decent. A little bit of brassing to the trim. But I did check these over reasonably well. This one's got a little bit of ambering to it, but the trim is good. No engraving. Just got a line. These are haul from Ohio. Yeah, it is. Your pen shipped out today, by the way, Ron. So a little bit discoloration, but it's fairly even from here to here. There's a regular size vac, but I love this milled cap band. I don't know if you can see the milling on there, and there's a little bit of barrel transparency going on this. It does fill, so we did fill it, and that was that. A little shocked at this one when I saw it. Schaefer Balance Combo. Really pretty unusual. I've never owned one ever. I mean, if you're gonna have a combo, Schaefer's the way to go. Or Waterman. You have one for sale if I wish to own two. I don't even wish to own one, quite frankly. So someone is going to get lucky and have a nice unusual Schaefer in their collection. This is nice standard size. Brown lever filler. Nice looking lifetime nib. How about this color? I mean, the barrel's better than the cap, for heaven's sakes. Standard size, not oversized. All right, then we got a couple of projects. This one is going to be a parts pen. Barrel's chewed up. Line cap's chewed up. It came in a lot. This one came in a lot too, but it's one of these. Oh, this has got a soft fine nib, SF1. Touchdown. That's cool. I didn't notice that nib. This one will be fun to play with because I can neither unscrew the barrel, which is not uncommon, but I can't even operate. I can't even move the blind cap. So I don't know what's going on here with this touchdown, but as they say, the price was well, it was basically free. I mean, here's another beat up touchdown. Was in the lot. Gold nib, kind of a nice medium, big medium. And these are also in the lot, so I got a couple of these. Cartridge Imperials. Another one. Both with kind of medium-ish nibs. This one maybe even stubby? No, maybe not. I guess that one's got a converter. The original, the Lifetime Imperial with the gold nib. And then this one also has the matching pencil with chalk marks on it. Or maybe it's not a matching pencil. It's pretty close, though. Different clip. And this is one of those. This came in a lot, so I wouldn't have normally bought this, but nice sterling crosshatch. Wah, wah, rollerball. But somebody might want this for a companion piece, or if I get lucky, I can swap a fountain pen section in it and turn it into a fountain pen, which is probably the better choice. But and then I think this is the last pen. It's just a little safer school pen, but with one of the nicest, cleanest barrels I've ever seen. Yeah, yeah. Actually, this section from this pen here, I think it's this pen. No, hang on. This section from this pen actually does fit in the rollerball, but the rollerball section doesn't fit in this pen. So, I mean, am I better off selling a fountain pen and a rollerball, or the section of this guy, or this guy? The black one, yeah, this is. So this one does fit in, and it's got the plastic threads. And I figured with the gold trim, and then this has got the gold trim on it here. It does fit in nice, and it caps nice. You'll look okay. Yeah, if you got one, let me know what the price is. I'm not going to get to these right away, so. But being cartridge pens, I'll probably get to them sooner than later. So that is it until later this week or next week. Oh, yeah, later this week or next week, there's some more pens coming. And I also did pick up a reasonably, well, not a large, but a nice box of consignment pens, which maybe we'll show them off tomorrow. I getting them photographed, so they were working on that today. But it was a real good show. I got to chat with some of my vendors. Well, not vendors. I mean, there wasn't very many of my vendors there, but a couple people that I buy stuff from regularly. And planning out some future purchases to expand the website. So all in all, it was really, yeah. Other than the hotel itself, all in all, it was. I would consider it a successful show. I learned a few things from Ron Zorn. Hopefully tomorrow, I've got a couple new tools that I'm going to buy after watching him look at some of my Duofolds. But So there we have it. All right. I don't think we ultrasonic any of these. I think we just disassembled them last week. Did we get them all apart? This one did not come apart. So let's dump this stuff into the... Yeah, we're going to do these. We'll get these cooking, and then I'll probably prioritize the pens that we got. You know, like the 45s, we'll get those done first. And need a font pen here. Get some of the cartridge stuff done first and get that out of the way. I've got a new plan in place here to accelerate the vintage pens that I do every day. Because I haven't put much of any of this new stuff up since August. Because we just haven't had time. But we are now looking at... My daughter also wasn't full-time every week, so we've bumped her up to full-time, and the plan will be to have at least 10 to 15 new vintage pens on the website every week. And we have, I don't know what the number is, but there will be some new vintage pens up this week. They're actually ready for me to go, so apparently if I was told in no uncertain terms this afternoon that if I want them to be available for our mailer tomorrow, that they need to be up. So guess what I'm doing tonight? Listing some vintage pens. So that will be good to have new stuff up every week, and that's going to be the plan going forward. Was Scott Pauley there? No, he was not there. I have had conversations with Scott. He's recovering from a shoulder problem that he had. And actually, as luck would have it, I mentioned that I had a problem with my collet. And he sent me a new one. And it does visibly look a little bit different. So he did ask, I'm going to send the old one back so he can inspect it. But I have a new vac collet, which is great because I have a bunch of new vacs coming. And I have a bunch of vacs that I do need to fix. So he's not there. He did say that he's completely out of vac extractors, but he is working on getting some more made. So that would be, in his terms, relatively soon. I really don't know what that means. But he was very expedient in getting me this this new collet out. In fact, I got it like a half hour before the stream today. So I should look at this nib here. But also for the rest of you restorers out there, I know I've been saying this for a long time, and I honestly mean it. I did have a conversation with Dr. G's, and those products are going to be coming soon. Now, had I not spent so stinking much money yesterday, I would have probably ordered it today, but we have a list of things that we're going to order. in priority order, and Dr. G's is like second on the list. So, oops. But I did get all my shipping today, including multiple boxes out to UPS, which was so nice. I've been tripping over these 4 boxes of stuff since we moved in here, and it's now gone. And I could not be happier. Um, so that's gone. Although my printer did not like printing out UPS labels, it was the oddest thing. I was like, oh, okay. It would print it halfway and then stop, and then I had to do it again. It would do it again. Like it would take 3 tries to get the label to print. Not U.S. Postal, just UPS. Okay. We got those marked down. The 2 black ones are stubs. Of course they are. Because that's what would work best in that pen. All right, let's take a look. Drop that in there. But this burgundy is really good looking. For your store, can you write a Dr. G's primer for all its uses other than deoxidizing hard rubber? You seem to use it for lots of things. Yeah, I absolutely will. But, now that I'm not saving money for the pen show, I can get back to buying product. And I've got so much product now. Vintage product. And I'm really pretty good for, well, it's November. I might be good through January. It really works well for removing ink. I mean, 51 collectors, it's just beautiful for. Yeah, they're restocking the Baltimore short. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping is I'm hoping that I can pound through some of this stuff because a lot of those pens that I got in that kind of that lot, um, I'm not going to restore. They're going to go right in straight to the parts bin. A bunch of them cartridge converter fills. Those are going to get done and out of here right away. And there's really not a ton of, a ton of other stuff. So you've had lots of success using Amedex then into the ultrasonic on 51 collectors. Yeah, yeah. See, I mean, you can really bypass that with Dr. G's. You just put it in the Dr. G's and let it sit, and then, because I mean, you'd have to use a lot of Amedex. Oh, you just dab it on. Okay. Well, it's coming soon. It's coming next couple of weeks. I'll be able to get it ordered. I just have to figure out that we got to figure out what the I'm gonna let those guys get home, and I think I'm just gonna soak the whole thing. I can't get this off. Um, but we've got the bar out, so there's nothing in here that can't get wet. So yeah, I got to buy a minimum that's a minimum enough to ship. Will I be able to ship it in winter? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's in a plastic container, and there's a little room on it. It's there's no way. And this what's in here doesn't. I don't know what the freezing point of this is, but I never had to worry about it. Never had to worry about it. Yeah, and Baltimore is still looking like a possibility, so. But I tell you, it's weird because I always buy Esterbrook's at shows, and I was really not interested in doing that this time. It would have been just such a foolish waste of money to buy stuff that I'm not going to get to any year soon. Oh, she flew out. But it was good to see my old friends. Some I haven't seen in a while. I did kind of have a sort of a chuckle. I did have someone, a lot of people asked me where Lisa was. And Lisa had to work on Friday, so. Well, and Thursday, of course. And so I told one person, they said, well, where's Lisa? I said, well, she's back home. She had to work. And they said, oh, she's working in the Chicago store. Like, you don't keep up with the news much, do you, buddy? So I kind of had to explain how that whole thing went down. I look forward to the day I don't have to explain that anymore. Yeah, Baltimore might be perfect. What is that? That's March, right? So March, April, May, then June again, and then I'm set until November. So yeah, that might all be good spacing and pacing for buying. Leaving me with some money just in case there's an estate sale or something that crops up. Never know what you're going to run into. I did have a little bit of a chuckle. You really like the show? You are going, right? Because that really, I won't say it makes the difference, but if you're going, that would be a lot. It's more motivation for me to go. Yeah, unless something weird happens. Okay. There was a really cool desk set that I kind of wanted, and I ended up. You've gone over here since 2010. Okay. Well, that says a lot. There was a desk set that I wanted, and it always seemed multiple times this weekend when there was something that I wanted that I wasn't sure, and so I didn't buy it, and I'd come back later. Somebody else, like literally, was 5 seconds before me was going to grab it. And this young lady, I would say 18 to 20 maybe, quite young. Came up and she said, "Oh, I've got my eye on this set, and it's an early Schaefer set." And she says, "Lever fill set," and she's like, "Well, do I need like special grease for it?" And person at the table is trying to explain, "Well, no, it's got a it's got a bladder in it, and there's a lever, and then you need to get it restored, but you lift the lever and." And then they tried to they tried to open it up for this young lady, and then the young lady tried to start to open it up, and I'm like, I had to butt in. I'm like, you really shouldn't do that because you need heat to open it. I mean, like they had no clue what was going on. It was just kind of funny because I'm like, it's good to have some enthusiasm in the room, but she was not interested in listening to better judgment, and I could just see that this pen was going to break right before our eyes. Did Lisa have any trick-or-treaters Friday night? I didn't ask, but as a general rule, we don't keep our light on in the front of the house anyway. I know the neighbors do have some grandchildren or something that come by occasionally, but you're going to convince your brother to go. Oh, that would be fun. How much trouble are we going to get into? Oh, look at this. Cut at an angle. We're going to have to fix that. File that down. That's just terrible. Well, we'll do that in a minute. There was 0 there. You have leftover candy you must eat? Oh my God. We went on my way back. I was initially gonna not stop because I had some protein bars and granola bars and stuff in the car, and I had some sodas that I brought with me, and so I thought, well, I'll just do that, and then I'm going to be home in time for dinner anyway. And but I had to stop Saturday, and I ended up stopping at I drove by a Culver's, and if any of y'all are in the Midwest, you know, and you like Culver's, you know how it is. It just calls you. You're like, you drive by it and you're like, oh, I could go to Culver's, I mean, not the greatest food in the world, but it's good enough. So I'm looking for a metal file here. I don't know where my metal file ended up. I think I had a problem finding it before. But anyway, I drove by. They just started opening Culver's there. Are they worth trying? I think so. I mean, if there are definitely worse options. There are definitely worse options. I mean, I usually just get I think their fries are spot on. They're predictable, absolutely. I think their fries are really good. They've got the kind of the crinkle cut fries, but they're good. And Their chicken tenders are good. I mean, you want just something on the road. I'm not too crazy about the burgers, but um, there's not many burger places that I care a lot for, so that doesn't mean much. But you know, they've got their little concrete mixers, and they have a salted caramel one. And I never tried it before. I said, well, I have to have a little. I was craving like a sweet ice cream, and so I got it, and it was amazing. It was just like, I mean, it probably could have been. I don't. It could have been dog food flavored, and I probably would have thought it was the greatest thing at that point in time because I was just. All I'm doing is I was counting every like 15 minutes. You know, it was one of those drives. Like I had it down into, well, it's going to be 32 15-minute intervals is really what I was doing. And that's a terrible way to look at a 8-hour drive. But it got me through. And so last night, Lisa and I were sitting there and we're like, she's like, well, you know, we don't have any ice cream in the house. Do you want to go get some ice cream? And I said, well, you know, I was thinking I was going to go back to Culver's and get another one of these salted caramel mixers. And so we ended up going at like, I don't know, it was 8 o'clock. Got a couple. Wasn't quite as good, but like I say, it could have been dog food flavored and I would have been like on cloud nine. I like them though. They're worth putting into the playbook if you got nothing else to do. They don't have a huge, what I don't like is they don't have a huge selection of ice cream. So they've got the mixer, but you can get it in vanilla, chocolate, salted caramel, and like one other flavor, and that's it. It's like maybe a flavor of the month or something. They do have shakes and malts too. I think the chicken tenders are just fine. They're you know, that's usually my go-to there. You know, they're way better than, you know, McDonald's or I don't mind Burger King, but we probably should never eat at Burger King. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't go very often. I mean, we don't eat out all that much anyway, so, but you know, if you want a lot of choices for ice cream, you got to go to a Dairy Queen or some other specialty ice cream shop. We've got a Mexican ice cream shop in town. I mean, it's a one location type of deal, family owned, and man, their ice cream is spot on, spot on. Yeah. Growing up, you lived on a hill that had 5 old houses, including ours, and kids usually didn't come up the hill for Halloween. Next door neighbor always bought boxes of Cracker Jacks. Wow. You'd give us each one and say, come back tomorrow and I'll give you what I have left. He always had plenty. You gave out Halloween themed pencils one year. Nice. I saw a new thing that people were giving out and kids wanted them. Potatoes. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big potato fan, so I mean, that would be all right with me. So the new lights there, traditional fluorescent. Well, no. So what they did is they replaced the units with LEDs. So that's why it's so bright, and it doesn't seem as bright, but I can tell the difference. I have an LED light that's right next to my camera that points down. I totally don't need it now. Do not need it. Burger King tried to kill you once with food poisoning, so you give them a pass. Chicken tenders and fries sound good. Yeah, I mean they're good. They're juicy. They're not. The fries are never overcooked, and that was my. I was really looking forward to fries like Thursday night when I was at the bar. They had a barbecue bacon burger, and then that sounds really good, right? And they had left like the fries in the oven, or I don't know, the whatever. I think they were baked because they weren't greasy, but they left them in the oven like for 10 minutes too long, and so they were just shy of burnt, and not soft at all. And so I really wanted something to. And Culver's fries have always been like really, really good. So that really, really scratched that itch for me. Now I want fries. But I don't mind Burger King, but boy, their prices really have gone through the roof. We used to have a Burger King across the street from the old store. And so I would go there from time to time, but you're going out for dinner tonight at a diner, you want fries too? Yeah, I mean if they're good, there's nothing like good fries. Your local Burger King will not sell fries with a vegan burger? Is that because the oil they use is not vegan? The single staff member didn't know why it just wasn't allowed. Grease they probably use is probably, who knows. It was above their pay grade. But I tell you what, it was real nice to be able to have a room at the hotel that the show was at. It's not always the case. For me, but you get you get too many purchases, you just go straight upstairs, drop it off. Lisa made me a sandwich for the drive out on Thursday. But it was too big to fit into a traditional sandwich bag, so she split it up into 2 bags, and then I only ate one of the bag, or one of the half of the sandwich on the way out, and so I left the other half for. I had it Friday. I was gonna leave it for the trip home. I thought, you know what, it's better for me to eat this now than it is to, it's not gonna be so great Saturday afternoon after 2 days. Did you find what is considered vintage is changing at the show? I saw some of these auction lots and some modern stuff is creeping in. Yeah. Yeah, that is the case. We're seeing a lot of that. Like I say, I wasn't there for Saturday's auction. But, you are seeing a lot of vanishing points and Mont Blanc stuff. And quite honestly, I can't remember what was in the auction on Saturday. But, it used to be there was always lots of overlays and, things like that, early stuff, and not so much anymore. But if there's money to be made, why not put it in the auction? I mean, it's desirable. Maybe you're becoming more vintage. We all are, Fuzzy. We all are, right? Omos. You saw your old school pen called vintage? Not cool. Yeah, I get you. Vintage Omos. I mean, there was even, I kind of had to laugh. There was a Wall Eversharp Skyline, the taxi set, and a couple people went just completely nuts over this thing. They made a big deal how the retail price, this thing was, should be $250. I think it sold for $225 with the taxi cab in the box, Okay, fine. I know that one probably has an 18 karat gold nib on it, so. But not like 2 auction lots later was a lot I was very interested in, and I was determined I was going to win this one until it went like north of, I forget what it went for, 140, 150 bucks. I said, I'm out. Which was still probably a pretty good deal, but was a lot of 3 Parker VSs. One in gray with stickers. One in rust, which is the most desirable color in the series. And then another, I think there was a black one with a gold cap. I mean, it was a nice lot of VSs. They were really nice. And I actually heard people behind me, and I think they were the people maybe that might have won the Skyline, the taxi cab, were like shocked. They were like, oh my God, what's going on? There were these 3 VSs in the lot were going for 150 bucks. Weird. So weird. But yeah, you're starting to see, you'll see modern pilot stuff and Sailor and it's creeping in. But, there was still some really early stuff. There was, a few early pieces, so that's good. Drop that in there while we're at it. All right. We got kind of a mishmash and nothing left here. Wish I could have stayed another day, but I did see a Sailor Pro Gear Mosaic in black, and I really was tempted to buy it. Those things were $935 when new. I mean, it was king of pen pricing. They actually have a slightly bigger cap, and so they're slightly larger than a standard Pro Gear. And this pen was like half of what, but it was black. It was the, you know, I won't say it's the worst color. I think the red, which is more pink, I think is the worst color, but I wish I had that. Got a file around here somewhere, but for the life of me, I don't know where the heck it is. All right, well, let's see what we got here. Just dripped inky water on my lid of my coffee cup here. One of the things I did manage to do while I was in Ohio was meet up with the sales rep for the next new products that we're going to be getting. And they just emailed me. So I just got my order in for the new products that are going to be announced probably, I don't know when we're going to announce it. Next week, likely. There we go. A little bit of soak on that. All right, let's put these back in order and then I always like my water there. So when I get in here and I can see if there's anything coming off. Yeah, I actually did not see a ton of Esterbrookes at the show. I guess I mean I wasn't really specifically looking for them, but I mean I always got an eye open for them, and I didn't see anything that was. Well, that's not true. That's not true. Um, there was a tray of Esterbrookes a friend of mine had that he was trying to sell, and it was maybe 5 pens, and he wanted $1,500 for it. Was it worth it? It did come with a display, which ironically I just got this summer. I had never seen until this summer. Well, I just got one. Don't need another one. Um, at least two prototypes, 2 or 3 prototypes. But it's hard to sell big lots like that. If they'd have been individually, I might have considered buying one for myself. Probably wouldn't have. And given the number of serious Esterbrook collectors that were present at the show, which probably maybe the three biggest vintage Esterbrook collectors in the world probably were at that show. Um, and if I didn't buy it, and one of them was selling it, that left one more. And the fact that they were still there when I left on Saturday. All right, we're gonna reset this nib. It just looks. This whole thing was put together awfully Mickey Mouse. I mean, look how far out that sits. You can kind of see a little line right there where it should just be. It should be further in. So that's going to have to go. I still have the barrel for this one. This one's sitting in there. But ah, like someone tried to get really close on this, and they just didn't really do it very. I think that's as far as it's going. Oh, better now. It looks better on this side. But you can feel the, and you can see it in here. you can see the back end of the feed. You can see the hole. This was a vacuumatic feed. We would have had a breather tube in it. Is literally butting up against the back end of the section nipple. So it's literally as far as it's going to go. If we wanted it to go in any further, we would have to trim that off. It's better looking now. I mean, the whole thing is kind of Mickey Mouse. I hate to say it, but I'm not sure who put it together, but I don't know that spending the time to make that. Really should be. Well, it looks like it. Maybe it might have been cut off. You can see it's very uneven. But if I cut this further back, it could seat further down. And it would seat in this section further, but I really should find my file. So I'm going to leave that out for now. I might consider that tomorrow. I still need a good solid data. Recover. I think I'll be much better tomorrow. You're 2 hours late. Well, it'll be, you can watch the replay. All the good stuff was in the first hour. We're having to set up a new gateway for internet. You know those don't like to play it nice. Yeah. I'm still having problems with my phone. I can't text Lisa anymore. I don't know why. We've had somewhat of an improvement. We haven't been able to follow each other on the Find My app. Although at some point on Saturday, I started being able to see her. So that was an improvement, but she still can't find me. Which, you know, I just like as a little extra. It's nice for her to be able to see where the heck I am if I'm traveling, you know. But I can't even text her now, so it's like, don't even mention. Yeah, right. Can't call the wife. Yeah, I mean, you know. Well, I can call her. I just can't text her. She can text me, and I'll see the text, but I can't. If I reply back, it says it's delivered, but she never gets it. Your screen is nearly completely shot. It still recognizes the input, but it's getting rough. Yeah, and I just, you know, I have long since passed that point that I have to have the latest iPhone when it gets announced at WWDC. Yeah, I mean, you know, and I would text her stuff during the show. You know, sometimes, you know, goofy, hey, you know, I bought a bunch of death sets or something. I would do stuff like that. But I mean, it's no fun when you can't even play around like that. But yeah, I don't need to have the latest phone anymore. It's actually kind of a game with me to see how long I can actually last with my phone. She would have said you should buy more death sets. Yeah, it might have been a different variation of that conversation. What I need from you people is if you want me to continue to buy death sets, somebody has to buy these stinking things that I have. Now, don't get me wrong. I have sold a ton of them. But, you know, I basically acquired 12 this weekend. Now, one of them's for me, but I need a dozen people to buy some other things. But like the first thing I did was I got into town. We met an old friend of ours, and he's just a real sweetheart of a guy. He's always invited us, you know, to stay at his place when we were traveling through to LA. And so I took a picture with them and I sent it to Lisa and she never got it. So, because everybody was saying, "Oh, say hi to Lisa for me." We're like, well, why don't we just take a picture and then I'll send her the picture and then, that will suffice. Well, so I don't know. We're gonna go to AT&T, I guess, one of these days and see what the hell's going on. But I've literally tried every fix that everybody has said online to solve this problem. To no avail. If I truly had a need for one, I would buy them. I do want to get a nice large writing desk, preferably antique, but that's not in the cards right now. Yeah. I would like to have my desk back, but it's in storage. Just no room for it. I did feel kind of bad because I made a point to tell this particular vendor who had 4 desk sets that I really wanted, and I was not sleeping. All I could think about were these freaking 4 desk sets, and I made a point to tell her. Now, mind you, this was Friday night after a few beverages, that I was going to come to her table the next morning and buy 4 desk sets. Well, one of them disappeared. One of them got bought apparently. And then another one, for whatever reason, which was the which was the fourth one that I wanted, only because I knew I could sell it, ended up being switched from a fountain pen to a ballpoint pen, desk pen, which was kind of like, well, that's not what it was yesterday. And so I was just kind of like, well, the one I really wanted is not there, and I can buy it somewhere else in better condition, which is how I got the one that I got. Although, ironically, the trumpet for it was there the day before, but somebody wanted it, so he took off the trumpet and sold the trumpet. But I didn't see it the day before. Did not see it on his table. And the room wasn't that big. But when I came by, your desk is covered in bags of repair seminar materials, so you can't even enjoy your desk pans. Oh, I forgot to reply to that text that you sent me. Or maybe I did. I don't remember. I'm glad it all arrived. I hope everything's there, and if you need anything, you gotta let me know so I can get it out to you. But when I came around on Saturday morning, it was literally the last thing I wanted to do was to buy this base, and the owner wasn't there. He was out in the parking lot making a deal. I said, "Well, he'll be back soon." Okay, great, fine. I'll wait because that's all I'm doing. I'm buying that and I'm going home. And I'm chatting with the guys at the table, some of my old friends, and He says, oh, well, he'll be back within 15 minutes. He's not going to be gone for very long. Like, great, fine. I mean, if it was going to be an hour, I think I was out. Everything's counted in bag. Looks good. Great. Okay, good. Thanks. I counted it like 4 times. Lisa counted it once, but you know how it is. And he did come back within like a couple of minutes, which really made me happy because I was mentally done with the show. I mean, I was all peopled out. Really, is kind of how half of it was. And he says to me, I said, well, okay. The guy behind the table says, Brian's interested in a desk space. He looks at me and he goes, what's your happy price? I said, what? And I've known this guy for a long time. Long time. And he's kind of a staple in the community. And he says to me, what's your happy price? I said, what do you happy? What do you mean? He goes, what price do I sell this to you that makes you happy? What's the happy price? And so I told him, and he's like, deal. But I had never heard, I had never had somebody ask me that in that fashion before. I think you should give it to me would be my response to him. Yeah. I don't know. He ended up being my very first and my very last purchase. Well, that turned out a lot nicer than it was. All right, what side do we want to have? This is kind of an ugly side here. You've heard similar turns of phrase, but not that particular one? Yeah. So we could cover that up. Let's do this here. Let's take a look. We could do it like that, and then we have this beautiful stuff on the back, or yeah, let's do it this way. This is better. I was afraid it was going to cover up too much, but it just looks so much nicer that way. Yeah, you should give it to me. And it really was, and it was a really fun way to say it because when he accepted my offer, which was very low. Now, keep in mind though, there's no pen, there's no trumpet, it's just the bass. It made me happy. I just laughed. There you go. Much better. Much better. All right, so let's put these caps together. Let's just do that. I think that's going to be the end of my day today. I guess that makes up for the overpaying for the 2 Schaefers that I bought from him, I guess. You win some, you lose some, you know? And, you buy enough pens, it happens at every show, no matter how careful you are. In your experience, are the trumpets and basses typically interchangeable between certain brands or are they all proprietary? No, not necessarily. If it's a Parker bass, you kind of need a Parker trumpet, and if it's a Schaefer bass, you need a Schaefer trumpet. Sometimes you can get lucky, but it is why you end up having a ton of this stuff lying around, because you buy basses that have trumpets, so you can steal the trumpets, or don't feel too bad you paid top dollar for number 2 self filler with the harder to find imprint and the clip disintegrated in your pen case. The tabs are corroded. Oh yeah. Well, it's like I told the story about my twist filler collection. It's the worst story ever. I should tell it. I mean, I should tell it again because it's like a true Halloween story. It's the scariest. It's the worst story ever. Um, have I told that? I've told that story recently about the day I put together all 6 of the Esterbrook twist fillers. Is maybe it's the rarest collection of pens on the planet. Well, not on the planet, but for Esterbrook collectors, it's the rarest 6. It might be too scary for Twitch. I had finally gotten the 6th. I think the last one I bought was copper. It was the hardest. I've only ever seen one copper twist filler. Yeah, Pen Horror Stories. One. The first one I got was red, and then it was red, blue, black, green, gray, and copper. I think in that order is how I got them. It doesn't really matter the order, but the first one was red. The last one was copper. And you see a lot of reds. You don't see a lot of reds, but you see reds and you see blues most often. Bought the copper one at Columbus show, I think, and was so happy to get it. I finally had a full set of 6. I mean, it took, what did it take me? 20 years. 20 years to compile the set. I think, yeah, 20 years. And I said, you know what I got to do? I got to bring this into work and have all 6 of them photographed together. I mean, it's the only time you've ever seen it. No one else has ever done it. I don't know when. I mean, I have one friend who probably has all 6. I don't know if he does or not. I don't think he really cares anymore. So, but I go. I'm all excited. It's the highlight of any Esterbrook collection for sure. Put them in. I put the red one in. And the case that I put it in had fairly tight loops. I think it was that first case that I showed today. And it's got little ridges, kind of ridges on the loops. And the ridges caught the piston knob. And the piston shaft on these pens is plastic. And it crystallizes. And too much pressure, and the piston knob broke off. The piston knob's fine. It's just that the shaft is plastic. It's not a metal rod. There's almost no metal on this pen. All the trim is palladium silver. The nib is palladium silver. The clip, the cap band, all palladium silver. There's no steel in it at all. There's no trim rings on the barrel, nothing. And it's not a steel rod. It's plastic, and it always crystallizes. And you oftentimes find them with no piston knob because it cracks and breaks and falls apart, disintegrates and falls apart. Is it like the Parker button fillers with the plastic rod? Parker button fillers with the plastic rod. I'm not sure which one that is. But yeah, I literally put it in the case, and as I put it in the case, the loop caught the carrot's turning into a pumpkin. Time to go. Have fun. All right, Juicy. Take care. It caught the knob, and the knob fell off. it broke off and fell off. I don't think I cried, but what are you going to do? I mean, there's nothing to do, you know. And so I took the picture, I posted it on Instagram. But what we did is I just had my photographer just rest the, you know, just rest it up against the body. I mean, you can't tell. They got it spot on. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit, I got to start over now. It took 20 years to get all six, and now I broke one, so now I got to find another one. Yeah, I never did that again. You were thinking of another pen now, Parker? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a special day. Oh, there's a Caroline crack in this. Oh, it's a lady. Who cares? We'll put it on the back. Actually, you can see the dimple where the clip was, so actually it was in a weird spot too. It wasn't straight on. It was like it's like over here next to the this is gonna be a user. I really hope the nib is good because the rest of this is turning out to be not so much. I think we're gonna Dr. G that. I don't remember the last time I saw a Twitch filler for sale. I mean, I haven't looked on eBay. I don't go on eBay, so it's possible that there have been one or two over the years. The real big problem is when people get these things, they want to try to turn the knob, and um, you know, and I'm inclined to do that too, but it's such a risky maneuver because you don't know what condition the rod is in. And just trying to get it to twist, you could break it off. I think the last one I bought was at a show, and it could have been Ohio. And somebody had emailed me they had found their grandfather's pens or something like that. It was a family pen, and they weren't really interested in it. They wanted something more modern. And they brought it to the show, and I didn't know what it was. They just said they had an Esterbrook. And he pulled it out of his jeans pocket, and I just about had a panic attack because I know how fragile they are. And he's like, "Yeah, you know, I'll trade you something for it." uh, should talk to our friend in Brazil about possible repairs. He's done some crazy rebuilds of complicated pens. He fixed your T1 recently. Everyone told me it was hopeless. Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. Um, Next time I get one, maybe. I had sent it off, that particular pen, I believe, I had actually sent off to um, Victor Chen. Does anybody in the chat remember Victor Chen? Hans, I bet you do. Was generally considered to be the repair guy for a while. I mean, he was the Ron Zorn before Ron Zorn came around. And Victor was doing repairs for Roger Cromwell, and I sent it off with them, and they were like, "Yeah, no, we remember him on Usenet? Okay, yeah, he took one look at it and like, nope, can't do anything about it, can't fix it." I I had an offer once from a well-known repairman who wanted me to send him one so that they could understand how it worked and document it with the possibility that it was going to be broken and destroyed in the process. I said, no, thanks. I, I'll, I'll, I mean, that would be great if I had like 10 of them extra, but it could be broke. We could break it and destroy it in the process. And I think those were the words that they used. And, um, Ricardo loves being told things are impossible. If you get a non-working spare, ask him. Well, I tell you what, they're all non-working. It's literally the only pen that I know. I don't know about Todd, but I have one friend who has one, and he only has one that works, but his actually has a cracked barrel. I don't know how on earth it doesn't leak. Like, I think it may have been repaired or something at some point, but um, I don't know how it doesn't. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. I never think to talk about with other collectors about it because it's such a rare piece that, I mean, you're not going to see it. There's not a single one at a show all year. If you find one, it's because someone doesn't know what they have. Now that I've said that, there's going to be like 3 on eBay this week. When I've already spent more than a pen show's worth of budget. But that's how it goes. Yeah, I'd love to be able to retrofit it with a steel rod or something. Your T1 had a bent nib and it was missing the nut that sits inside the feed, right? He remanufactured the nut. Wow. And he straightened the nib without it breaking. But you know what? Hang on. Hold that thought. As luck would have it. This is just the kind of thing that I would do right here. As luck would have it, this is a twist filler barrel. Now, this pen was sold to me as a demonstrator. And when the guy said he had a demonstrator twist filler, I about fell out of my chair. Because I mean, these things are so rare that like you just be lucky to get one ever in your life. And when he said demonstrated, I'm thinking, okay, how many hundreds do I need to shell out for this thing? There it is. I said, sir, that is absolutely not a demonstrator. That is a highly deformed, crystallized twist filler. It was a mostly complete pen when I got it. Again, there's the piston rod. It's a twist filler with a twisted barrel. Exactly. Yeah. That's what's left of the crystallized rod. The button fell off. The knob fell off. I never got the knob. I had a correct cap, but I used a cap on something else. But yeah, and you can this one you can actually see. You can see the barrel imprint, but I don't know what happened to this pen, but it crystallized like nobody's business. And then your piston knob would have sat on here. I should try to take this apart, but I'm afraid I'm going to break it. You can kind of see the end of the piston rod there, but I mean, it's broken anyway. I think, is there a crack in the section too? No. That part up there is actually pretty sound. It's 456. This is probably a something for another day. But you found the pen you were thinking of. It's the first variant of the Schaefer Imperial Touchdown. As a plastic touchdown tube rather than metal. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, this is a pretty thin rod. I could feel this. I can feel this giving way just by pressing here and holding on. It's probably, I would imagine, shellacked in place. It is gnarly. Yeah, it's gnarly. But the dude thought it was a demonstrator. I thought, what? Have you ever seen a demonstrator? This ain't a demonstrator. But I mean, I could crush this with very little force. But I keep it just for, I mean, what else am I going to do with it? All right. I'm going to do this. I need to clean. That's still got some ink in it, so I think we're going to start there tomorrow. Lisa's going to be done with work. You must run. I hope you have a great evening too, Hans. Where my glasses are on my head. There we go. We'll continue on these Duofolds tomorrow. We should be able to at least get them to the point where we sack them, and then I think what we're gonna do is we'll start with the 45s. We'll clean those up. The Imperials. We got the cartridge converter pens from Ohio, kind of in a tray, and sort out the pens that are just going to kind of go into the parts bin, and then we can distill down into maybe then put them in a tray and then go from there. So we'll keep working on that. But in other words, I think that's it for today. I'm gonna get packed up and I've got some work to do tonight. Apparently, I've got some vintage pens. We're hopefully gonna go up tomorrow. And then we'll talk about them. They'll be in the mailer tomorrow, and then we'll talk about them on the podcast on Friday. So, just as a sneak peek for you, and I honestly I can't even tell you what they are. I don't even know, no idea. But there'll be some vintage pens going up either tonight or early tomorrow, and I think 12, 12 or 24. I'm not sure. So keep an eye out. New stuff on the website, and we'll go from there. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a great evening, a great afternoon, great morning, wherever you are in the world, and be kind, be well, and we'll catch you tomorrow. All right? Take care, everyone. Bye now.